welcome back to the podcast, Falcon.
Thank you. It has certainly been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a month.
Crazy. I don't
Uh,
feel like it's been a month, but time is weird. So, yeah.
Well, I suppose technically it's 2 days short of a month, but close enough.
Oh, that's why. Got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure if we were doing this 2 days from now, I'd be like, "Oh, yes, obviously a month.
Of,
Definitely
of,
feels that way." Mhm.
of course,
Mhm.
absolutely,
Mhm.
without a doubt.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I think in future we're just gonna organize and plan that summer we're just gonna have off. NA summer is just between seasons for us. That's our downtime. Instead of trying to be like, are you on holidays, like doing family reunions, and I am doing stuff? Nah, we're just gonna. I think we just roll that as off season for the podcast moving forward.
No, we have stuff we have to talk about. What if there's a Barben Oppenheimer weekend we got to do?
Then I can wait.
No, we're not going to talk about Barbie and Oppenheimer in freaking September because it's harder to schedule stuff in the summer. I vote no on this proposition. We need a tiebreaker. Where's
Okay,
Lucky?
look. Here's how this is gonna work. We won't permanently schedule them as holidays then, but we still won't get to talk about a lot of things because neither of us will be available every other week.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think setting an expectation that summer it's hard for us to do it every week and we can't guarantee every week even close is fine.
Mhm.
But I don't think giving up and saying we just can't do this in the summer at all, that's a garbage plan. I vote absolutely not.
I would rather just know for certain that I don't have to try and make it work. I don't have to dip my toes into two different plans rather than I can just be like, all right, I'm committed to this. I know I don't have to try and be here. You
Yeah,
know?
that's fine.
Yep.
Totally fine.
Okay, sweet. So you agree.
Yeah.
All right.
But if
It's
there's
agree.
a gosh darn weekend where two of like the biggest movies of all time come out,
Uh-huh.
we gotta do it. That's all.
What if I haven't seen one of those movies?
That is a problem. That is an obstacle to our plan
Uh-huh.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You didn't see the Oppenheimer?
I did not get a chance to see the Oppenheimer.
Oh, well, that's gonna be interesting then.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
I'll. Well, you don't care about spoilers. Wait, sometimes you care about spoilers.
I mean, I think I know the story already.
True. Did you know they successfully created a nuclear bomb?
Yeah, I think they technically created more than one.
Yeah, but I mean, the first one's all that really matters for the concept of
Sure.
success.
The first thing to come out of Pandora's box really is that's the important one because that signals that Pandora's box is open.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of what the movie's about. But hey, let's talk about Barbie because both of us saw that one.
It's true. I did go and see Barbie. I went with my friend Blake and my friend Priya, and they're married.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was a very, very packed cinema, and I sat next to an 8-year-old girl. Who I
Oh
did not
no.
know.
This is not a movie for children, people. It's PG-13. If it was a movie for 8-year-olds, it would be PG or whatever they say in Australia.
Uh
Whatever
huh.
that is.
We were thoroughly confused because we're like, it's a Barbie movie. It's gonna be for kids probably because it's Barbie. Um, I made some very quiet snide remarks during the ads that play before the movie because there was one that was basically for a burlesque show and I'm like, I bet there's some pretty confused kids in the audience right now.
Yeah.
And my mate was like, yeah, not quite targeted ads. Um,
Well, it's a PG-13 film. Burlesque show is PG-13. Like,
yep.
again, parents, stop sucking. Like,
What is it
use
rated
your
here?
use your brain to intelligently analyze what media is good for your kids and act upon it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Mm-hmm.
just be like, "Oh, it's a movie about a toy. It's all ages." No, no, it is not.
Here it is simply labeled as PG, so it is available for all ages with parental guidance.
Okay, so that's the important part here.
Yeah.
Parental guidance.
Yep.
I don't know.
Which here just means if your parents are with you, you can see it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's interesting. What's after PG there?
MA 15 plus.
Oh, you literally can't get in unless you're 15.
I think if your parents are with you, they can still get you in. It's been 15 years since that was relevant to me. So I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah,
Actually, no, there are technically two standards of M. There's M and then there's MA. So M is just M for mature, and then MA is, I think, mature adults only. So I think that might be the rule. Like M, if your parents allow it, sure. MA is you have to be of age. And
yeah,
then hard R's after that.
dude,
I
that's
think
so
that's how it
weird.
goes. Yeah.
That's so weird. Your R is after MA. Huh.
Yeah. Well, R is
And what's
18
the
plus.
difference? What's R? Oh, okay. So that's 18.
Yeah.
Got it. Fair enough. Okay. So fair enough. In Australia, I can see why a parent would be like, "Yeah, it's a Barbie movie and it's PG,
Mhm.
and this is fine for my 8-year-old, even though it's not really directed towards 8-year-olds at all."
No, but there's, plenty of Barbies and Kens, and that's clearly what kids are into with Barbies and Kens. They just, the figurines, and you give them to the kids, and then that's what a doll is.
Did you see the scene in the movie where the Gen Z kid was like, Barbies are garbage and they ruined our generation and they screwed everybody up? Like
Yeah.
that's what the kids today are doing. They're not
Uh
playing with Barbies.
huh.
They've been told Barbies are bad news, which is why
They
this movie was here to rehabilitate the Barbie image, apparently, or something.
Yeah, that is something I did come out of like this movie thinking. It's like, why did this movie exist? Because
Be,
normally, like, if you have a Transformers movie, once upon a time, that was to sell Transformers, right?
mm.
This
Mm-hmm.
movie was not made to sell Barbie dolls.
Mm.
I don't know that people are walking away from this being like, I gotta go get me one of those. I'm sure there are things that are being sold, and Mattel comes out of it looking like a pretty money hungry company, you know? Um,
Yeah, I was just gonna search like Mattel stock price.
uh huh.
I mean, you can still buy Barbie stuff on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon
No, of
and
course
like
you can.
Walmart has it and
But I mean, it doesn't come away as a piece of like it's a movie that is about another intellectual property idea that is essentially a giant ad. That's what like the Transformers movies are. Because you go in there and you're like, Transformers look cool, go buy Transformers. That's why they made the TV show. That's why like Yu-Gi-Oh exists. It's all to sell
yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You don't
yes.
come away from those being like, is it right to buy a Yu-Gi-Oh card? you know? Um, which is kind of what you get with the Barbie movie.
Right. No, you're right. This could have easily been a cash grab. This could have
Yeah.
easily been a Transformers film where the entire intent of the movie is to make you buy Barbie dolls. And it's
Uh-huh.
not,
It's
100%.
not. It's not. Which is just interesting that, people gave a fuck, right? That's
What do you
you
mean?
like people cared about what the Barbie movie would be rather than just being a cash grab because Mattel is a toy company. They sell toys, and that's arguably what they want to do. So why didn't they do that? Why did they decide here is the place to give a fuck and have some really interesting messages and themes in the movie?
Yeah.
It's the why behind it all that I'm interested in. Did someone just hit him with a really good pitch and be like, "Look, we can lampshade it. If we tell them we acknowledge all this, we don't actually have to do anything about it." you know? Is
Yeah.
that it?
I mean, that's an incredibly cynical read of it, but I think it's entirely possible. I
Mm-hmm.
think Mattel's like there's a lot of backlash against the Barbie brand right now in the 2020s and earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If
I'm,
we make a movie where we can kind of poke fun at ourselves and like,
mm-hmm.
haha, we kind of suck, we're just out of touch middle-aged white men, then we
Mm-hmm.
can fix it.
Right.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think you might be right about that.
Maybe. What is Mattel's like board of directors look like at the moment?
That's a great question. It'd be funny if it's like super diverse. According to their website, I'm just going to count up ethnicities here. It's like three older white dudes. There are one, two, three, four white ladies, a
Okay.
non-white lady,
Mm-hmm.
and like an Asian-looking dude.
Oh. Fair enough.
So like way more diverse than in the movie. So yeah, that's funny. They're like, we are going to we approved of this movie portraying us as entirely white old dudes.
Yeah.
Maybe not old, but older, middle-aged. Will
They were,
Ferrell's not a spring chicken.
he's not a spring chicken, but there were definitely some pretty young dudes on that
Yes,
table. Yeah.
certainly. Yeah, so that's gotta be them poking fun. Because if they were trying to be like, no, look, we're progressive. Check out how our board of directors is not entirely white dudes. They could have done that, and it would have been real,
Right.
and nobody would
Well,
have killed them for it.
I mean, I think if they had tried to say like, look how progressive we are, we have two whole women on the board.
No, it's more than I gave you more than two.
No, I'm looking at the Mattel leadership on their website. There's
There's
two.
board of directors. That's what I looked at. What are
Mm,
you looking at?
I don't know. I'm just at mattel.net/mattel-leadership. Like,
Oh my God. Here, there, this link right here.
you can look at that one.
Okay.
When was your one updated?
I don't know. This is not Mattel? You're spelling it wrong.
No, it's the same. It's the
No,
same
it's
letters.
not.
It's the same
No,
letters.
no, it's not. Mattel is Mattel. This is
Is it?
ME. Yes.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense. God
I'm
damn
glad we got it worked out.
it. Okay,
Mattel.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
Mattel.
So there's 5? Okay. 5 is a bigger
Yeah.
number. 5 out of 11.
I mean, it's infinitely more than the 0 women in the movie who are on the board of directors.
That is also true.
Yeah. And actually, some of this is like, I don't understand what these titles are. Former CMO. Oh, it's like their resumes.
Oh.
So they used to be the CEO of Condé Nast. They used to be the principal of Scarlet Investments, but now they're on the board of directors for Mattel. Okay, this was confusing me because I'm like,
Ah.
how be the former CMO of Adobe? What? Mattel and Adobe are not the same thing. No, that's just resume. Okay,
Right.
that's a weird thing to put on your board of directors page, though.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is kind of cool to be like, we've got 6 former CEOs on our board of directors. Like, we are important.
It's true.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's not the point. That is not the entire point of the Barbie movie.
No.
I honestly think my short review of it is just I have not laughed that hard in a movie in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It was so funny and so clever and so entertaining. I thought the acting was spot on. I thought it was the jokes vast majority of them hit. There were maybe a couple where I was like, eh. But most of the time it was a joke and I was laughing at it out loud. I mean, it's really, 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 really well done.
It is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, like just so many jokes. Just the fact that Barbie Land is developed the way it is, where like everything's fake. Like there's this heartfelt Barbie and Ken conversation overlooking the ocean and this sunset, but like the ocean's this static painted model and the sunset's literally a sunset painted on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. It's just you just notice stuff like that and it's so funny. Anyway. Yeah. I laughed at it a lot. Was that your experience as well?
Yeah. We had a good laugh. We also pointed out that out of everyone in the theater who were laughing, it was mostly the dudes. um,
Oh, that's weird.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I went with my sister and she laughed at all the stuff that I did. I mean, we are the same bloodline, obviously, so maybe that has something to do with it. Got the same sense of humor, but
Mm.
she's a woman. I
I,
thought it was very funny.
I mean, Priya, who was with us, she said a lot of it was funny. She just didn't laugh at it, and I'm like,
Okay, sure.
okay, yeah, all right,
That's fine.
Yep.
People don't have to laugh out loud at stuff they find funny. I'm okay with that.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole introduction where it's Barbie like
As a
taking a
giant
shower,
one.
but there's no water
Yeah.
because there's no water in a Barbie dream
No,
house. So why
house,
would
no.
she have water in her shower? She's
uh,
drinking orange juice, and it's one of those cups that like you turn it, and the outside of it makes it look like liquid is draining out, but it's just this like illusion they've developed.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so good, very funny.
Yeah. A lot of really good stuff there. If you were to sit down and be like, let's dissect this as its own thing, you'd be like, well, a lot of this doesn't make sense. You've clearly just demonstrated that Barbie, like when people play with Barbies, nobody bothers to walk Barbie down the stairs, so the dream house has no stairs, and she can just lift up and fly anywhere she wants. But also, she needs to drive a car to get to all the things that she wants to do. It's like you, if you were to break it down like that and really like miss the point of that this isn't supposed to make sense. It's someone's imagination. I think you would enjoy the movie a lot less because it's pretty inconsistent with that kind of stuff. It's like
100 billion%.
how could anyone get into that tiny ass car and not notice someone hiding in the back seat? You know?
That's one. On a larger perspective, you're telling me that anytime somebody plays with the Barbie and has some like negative mental emotions going on, it negatively affects the Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
This would happen all the
All the
time in
time.
Barbie Land.
Yeah.
So why are we pretending this happens so rarely that Barbie doesn't even know what's happening when it happens? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's definitely ways you can pick apart the logic of the plot, but I mean,
You're missing the
not
point.
it's not taking itself that seriously at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very winking. It's like to
Mm-hmm.
get from Barbie Land to the human land, you just have to transition between different modes of transportation. And they don't know where their snow boots come from and how they got on a snowmobile at all. It just happens. Roll with it, man.
There's
So,
her
yeah.
air in space, but Ken wasn't wearing
Yeah.
a helmet.
Right. How did we get to space? It doesn't matter. This is how we get to the human world. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're not going for that stuff, which is totally fine. Like if your movie doesn't want to take that seriously, I'm okay with that.
Mattel doesn't produce a 12-seater tandem bike. How do they get on?
Yeah, it's a rule of funny. A lot of this movie is just rule of funny. Is it funny? Yes, then great. Roll with it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works so well.
Yeah, it works super well.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm like some things you can kind of have question about. Like, look, Venice Beach in California,
Mhm.
or Century City, where they are.
Mhm.
If two people dressed like Barbie and Ken were rollerblading, it would not be a stop and stare situation.
No.
California is weird, man. Like you see something like that every day, several times a day out there on the beach. The beach and that part of the country and that part of the state attracts the weirdos. You would be so desensitized, like nobody would give them a second look at all. You'd be like, "Oh wow, like bright outfit, neat," and you'd go on with your life.
Right.
That's it. So I think the people that are like laughing at them is like, "No, that's not how California works at all, actually." But it's fine, I guess. It's
Well,
part of the plot.
it's very specific that real world is not our real world.
It
Because
is.
well, I mean, it's supposed to be. It's analogous to it, but Weird
Yeah.
Barbie clearly states that it's the country of California, not the country of America. Oh,
Well, it's a good point. That is a good point.
yeah. So it
Like
can't be.
their map is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's not 1-to-1 our world. So again, is it funnier to have people like recognize them and have Barbie get into a fight so she can be arrested by cops and have an essential real world experience throughout all of that of being ogled,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. I was trying to see if New Zealand was on the map that they had because like
Lots of
New
countries
Zealand has
forget.
problems with maps. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell. It was too fast.
Yeah, it was way too fast. But like there's lots of places that have problems with maps, like Madagascar or Tasmania.
Yeah.
often not on maps.
Which is insane. Like you're making a map of the world. Why are you leaving stuff out? What is wrong with you? This is basic competence. Like not getting the size of the country perfect, or like sure.
Mhm.
whatever. You can, but like forgetting it exists entirely is the dumbest thing in the entire world.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. Couldn't
yeah,
license the shape,
yeah,
so they had to not. I had to leave it off.
yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah, really great. Um, Margot Robbie kills it. Like I
Yeah.
was just trying to think, who else can do this? Like who else could nail the
Mm.
like this particular version of Barbie where she's absolutely gorgeous, she looks perfect, but
Mhm.
is smart, like can rattle off insightful lines about what's going on. You know, can nail worried, can nail crying face down on the floor. I don't know. I just feel like she has a lot she had a lot of skills that they used
Mhm.
in this particular role.
I don't think of Margot Robbie as like a unique actress in any real way. Like I don't think she's top of the pack, but she's definitely comfortably great in everything, you know? Like
Mhm.
she's never
Mm.
like I'm never like she's the problem in Suicide Squad. It's like
Nope.
no.
Nope.
She's doing her best there too, you know? Um
And the scenes that she's in are good,
yes.
which is
Well,
insane. I think that's hard. Maybe not all of them.
right. It's still a bad movie.
Yeah,
uh,
but I mean, anyway, whatever,
yeah.
whatever. She's great.
There's still a reason she's the like the one character that they moved over to the second Suicide Squad movie. So,
Right.
you know. I will say I think my favorite joke might be the one where she's like laying face down at Weird Barbie's house, just crying, being like, "I'm ugly like you," and then Helen Mirren as the narrator is just like, "Dear filmmakers, if you really want to convey this point, Margot Robbie is not the actress for you."
It's the wrong choice. That's great because that's exactly what I was thinking. She's like,
Yeah,
"I'm ugly," and I'm like, "Oh, come on!"
come
And the
on,
movie's like, "We
you
understand where
understand?
you're coming from, audience."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
like no one's gonna buy Margot Robbie crying on the floor saying she's ugly. Everyone's like, "No, nope,
nope, nope, not even a
no,
little bit.
cannot suspend disbelief in this situation. We're sorry."
Yeah, not happening.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just everything with the Kens I thought was really fun. Like how Ken's job is just beach.
because
He's
it's
not a
just
lifeguard.
he doesn't
He's not a
swim.
surfing instructor. He can't swim. His job is to hang out at the
At the
beach.
beach. Uh, I also had a really good chuckle when Ken and other Ken were like, "I'm gonna beat you off. You want to beach me right now?" That is a fantastic set of dialogue.
I will beach off everyone here. Yeah.
uh,
Again, very, very funny
very funny.
movie.
Yeah.
The whole like Ken is super into Barbie and Barbie's not really into Ken thing. At first I was like, that's just funny. But then, like, they pretty explicitly say Ken was created to be in love with Barbie.
Barbie. Yeah.
Like, he didn't choose this. He was given a directive from Mattel. So,
Yeah.
like, it's like some, I don't know.
Uh,
I felt bad for him at that point,
you
right?
should. Yeah. Yeah. And
He
that's
had
one
a
of
lot to
the.
overcome to, like, not be in love with Barbie anymore because she doesn't like him.
Yeah. That's one of the more surprisingly poignant moments that the
Mm-hmm.
movie has. Like, the movie's littered with them, especially with like I would say social climates in regards to gender roles and whatnot. Am I summarizing that well enough? Uh
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, the movie's got tons to say on it, and it says
Mm.
it pretty well, I would say. Um but Ken is absolutely on the spot for people who have like seen something and been like, this is an ideal I aspire to and love that is only going to be one-sided the entire time. And there's
Right.
a lot of that you could look at in the real
R-
world. And
Right.
it's an important moment for Ken to sit the fuck down and work out who he is without it being in relation to someone else first or something else.
Yeah, and I think that's an incredibly important lesson for like the vast majority of people to understand.
Hmm. And
It's
you
like
def.
you You need to be you. And the shirt that he gets at the end of this process where he says, I am
I'm
Knuff.
enough.
I really think that should be a good seller. I think a lot of people could go with that message.
Yes. And I mean, here's the thing. I think a movie that like a lot of movies could be like, yay, we defeated the bad guy. We freed all the Barbies from their indoctrination. Let's wrap it up. Let's end the movie. Let's give Barbie her moment because it's a Barbie movie, and have just kind of like in the process of ending the movie could have easily glossed over what, you know, Ken's emotional conflict and resolution. But they didn't. They didn't have to, but they did it, and I think that's great.
Yeah, totally. I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that Ken was like, once I found out the patriarchy wasn't about horses, I didn't even care anyway.
I lost interest.
The man just wants to ride horses, and I love it.
He's a horse girl.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
What's he call his house?
The Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Mojo Dojo Casa House. Yeah.
And I love that
Oh my gosh.
that it's saloon doors with a doorbell, and there's no walls.
Yeah. There's a Margot Robbie just goes around it. It's like a step, and then you can just go into the house.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, I think both Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie should be nominated, like for awards and stuff for what they did. I thought they both killed it. They were just consistently incredible.
Yeah.
Like when Barbie comes back. No, what is the conversation they have? Oh, Ken's like, will you be my like short-term, long distance
this casual girlfriend?
Yeah. And then when she says yes, he's like, excuse me for a minute. He goes inside around a corner. God, what does he say?
He's like, he screams like, yeah, or I got it or something. Or
it's like
it's an affirmation.
Primo or something super dorky. Yeah.
It's like rad.
Yeah. No one can hear him. He comes back out like, oh, cool. Oh, he's so great. Oh man.
There's so much to like about Ken. Like when she rings the doorbell and he's like tripping over everything, and he's like, oh, he just caught me reading, and he's like holding a book.
It's like frantically cleaning up. I think he's like throwing beer bottles away and like reshuffling couches, and then he has the audacity to say that he's reading.
Which is funny, but you gotta remember that all this started because he borrowed like 3 books from the library. They could have just given him one of those books, and it would have been believable that he was reading if you cut out all of the like cleaning up hurriedly stuff. Like you could have made Ken a reader, weirdly enough, but they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a very funny joke. I still really like it, but it's just an interesting that like, oh, they make fun of him for pretending to read, but we do know he does read. Has read some.
Well, read enough to understand that patriarchy is not just horses. So he got somewhere into the books. I don't know if it was like beyond chapter 1, but yeah, you're right.
You're
correct.
Into the books, yes.
Yeah, on some level. And the messaging in the movie is so interesting because it's like women have it hard in the real world, which generally fair. Okay. Yeah, generally fair. But then like the Kens are the second-class citizens in Barbie Land.
Right. I think by the end of the movie, you're supposed to think that neither is a good result, and you have to work at it to find a better common ground. Yeah. Like the movie ends with like we've reestablished the Constitution, and now Kens are back to being we don't know where the Kens
citizens.
Sleep.
Right. That's the thing. That was the thing where I was like, what?
They don't know
where do the Kens sleep? Don't know. Probably on the street and on the beach, maybe. Sure.
Right. That was wild. But
wild.
I think you're definitely supposed to come away from it thinking that the Ken's pure patriarchy and the Barbie's pure matriarchy, neither is a perfect system, and neither is desirable for both parties to actually live in a healthy way, because in
Yeah.
the pure matriarchy, his emotions were all over the place, and he felt so abused, he felt like a second class citizen. And then
Like yeah, go ahead.
then Barbie goes to the real world, and then you know, even in like a day of feeling what it is like to be a woman, she gets it immediately that this is not okay. Like,
Right.
right.
Right. And
I
like
did
at some point, does she get to the point where she's like, this is what the Kens feel like?
like yes, she does kind of have
Yeah.
a moment like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's still interesting because the movie also could very easily go down the like masculinity is so toxic and it's so bad, and obviously the pure patriarchy that the Kens establish is bad and wrong. But the things that incite Ken in the first place at Century City are just like trucks and working out. Two
And
things that
like,
on their own are perfectly healthy behaviors to have.
and someone asked him what time it was.
Right,
Like
someone asked
that
him.
was a major thing.
Someone came to him
Yeah.
with like a respectful tone and was just like, "You're treating me like an equal," right?
Yeah,
Ugh.
like the
And that,
things that made him feel good about himself were so innocuous. Yeah.
Mhm.
That you're
Yeah.
like, what life was he living?
uh,
Yeah. So the movie understands that they were treating Kens like garbage,
mhm.
but at the same time, at the end of the film, they're like, okay, we're back. The women are in charge. The men are back to being beach. And they're like,
Well,
can we be on the Supreme Court? And they're like, no. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what the message is anymore.
well, they do give him some judgeships in the lesser districts or
Some
something.
lower courts, maybe. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if they committed to that.
I think that's a nod to the fact that every sort of change is a slow process.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what they're going to there, because the core of it is there that the Barbies recognize what they did to the Kens was probably over the top and too much for them, and that they're going to commit to change, but it can't be all at once. And it's the same way in the real world. It just change is slow and messy, and a lot of people aren't happy about that. But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to mirror the real world, like the Kens have no education. They are not smart. None of them are smart. Right?
None of them have jobs in this world either.
Right. They have no job skills, let alone jobs. So it's just like real society. Like women weren't allowed to have jobs. Women aren't allowed to get real educations. Mm-hmm. And so before we could be like, okay, women are judges now and women are on the Supreme Court, we had to give them these things first. So same thing for the Kens. We have to let them go to school. We have to like give them trade skills or computer skills or something. So that, so one day they can be qualified to be a judge on the Supreme Court, and that'll be great. But we're not doing it now. And I guess that's what they're saying, which is fine because, the Kens are idiots. They're all very dumb.
They're all incredibly stupid.
Like
and
on the
Alan.
day they were going to Alan, and then there's Alan. I don't know what Alan's purpose was entirely.
Not sure. He's got a lot of fighting skills, I've noticed.
Yeah. He beats the crap out of like 10 construction worker Kens.
Yeah, who can only build up.
Yeah, that was great.
So good.
Oh, that was so good. So yeah, I think Alan's entire existence is just inside joke. Like in the Barbie line of products, there's Alan. He's the best friend of Ken. Nobody cares about him. We did not make more versions of Alan. There's simply Alan. And here he is. Laugh. And we'll get Michael Cera to do it. So it's funny. It's like, all right, deal. You win. He is funny.
He's a very funny actor.
Yeah.
I did like that they explicitly point out that there is only one Alan. Like, there isn't all these versions of Ken, but there's only one Alan. But then they say that Alan's been to the real world before, and he was in sync. Yes, even that one. Like, he was all the members of NSYNC. Just the one guy.
Again, just the surreal aspects of this movie. Like, they lean hard into how weird this is, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's goofy, and I like it. Like, I really love when all of the business dudes are trying to get out through this checkpoint at the bottom of the entrance to the building, and then they're like, "Ah, where's my card? Where's my pad? Quick, go back and get it!" And then they throw it like, "Oh no!" And then they realize they're leaving. They don't need to scan on their way out. Like, it's just goofy in a lot of really fun ways, and it
Like,
works so well.
Will Ferrell throws his phone, I think. Like, it is just chaos. Yeah. Very, very funny. Oh, and then I loved so much. The Kens, it's their big day. They're going to ratify the changes to the Constitution to make it a patriarchy. But then they get tricked into fighting each other,
Yeah.
starting a war. But there are no guns or like knives in Barbie Land. So they're
Right.
fighting each other with sporting equipment.
Yes.
Including suction cup darts, arrows,
Yep.
tennis rackets,
Lacrosse balls.
lacrosse balls. Yeah. Oh, and then they just start singing. It's this huge musical production. Holy crap.
That bit took me by surprise, and I loved every second of it.
I was delighted by it. It was the funniest thing. Dude, and so Secret Invasion, the MCU show that's going on right now, the leader of the Skrulls who are trying to like overthrow Earth is Gravik, and it's played by a dude who's in one of the Kens.
Really?
So in the Secret Invasion, he's this like hardened military leader. He's willing to kill anyone or do anything to get what he wants, and he's a total badass.
Yeah.
And in this, he's like doing spirit fingers, like beaming from ear to ear, and I'm just like, is that the same guy? I had to IMDb him.
Is that the Ken who grabs Ken's like fur-lined coat when he throws it off the tree?
Yes.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole movie, I was like, is that Gravik? Because he is completely different in this. And it's out at the same time. It's just an amazing run for that dude right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
good on him.
So funny. Yeah, he's doing great. He's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it's just incredible how an actor can completely change everything about them. Yeah, he was good. Anyway. Yeah. And I think they did, I mean, the whole mythos of the Barbie and how like it went from idealized bimbo, right? So everyone's like, we hate Barbie because she's dumb and she doesn't have any skills. And they're like, okay, so like she's an astronaut and she's a college professor and she's the president and she's on the Supreme Court and she's all this great stuff. And then the next generation's like, that put too many expectations on us. We can't all be on the Supreme Court. We can't be astronauts. Stop giving us undue pressure. And it's like, they were responding to the initial complaint that Barbie wasn't aspirational. And it's just like, you can't win if you're doing this, apparently.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't win, but I don't think either was technically the right thing to do, right? Like, telling women that here's Barbie, here's what you should idolize and aspire to be, and making her someone who goes shopping and has daddy's credit card, and that's all she is.
Right.
Kind of like a Rachel at the start of Friends, right? Like, no skills, nothing about her. That's not a good message for kids, young girls, or even adults. And then swapping that around and being like, you are also only able to aspire. Like, if you're going to aspire to things, you have to aim for the top. There is no mediocrity. There is no, like, you are someone who's very competent at their job, but work is just a job. No, it's you are a president. You make that your entire personality. Yeah. That is also just swinging too hard in the opposite direction. So I kind of get it, right?
Agreed.
And at the end, the mother character, I don't remember her name.
The actress name is America Ferrera. She's great.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
We'll call her America.
America was like, what if we just had, homebody Barbie,
Yeah.
And that's probably a good response to that again. provided that they sell, I suppose. I don't know.
Right,
It's kind
and
of
that's
weird
my
to phrase all the problems as like things we can sell you, you know. Uh,
Yes, that was like the most Mattel the movie ever got, where it's like,
right.
can we sell this idea? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know,
Hmm.
like selling a doll that is a middle-aged woman in sweatpants with
Hmm.
pizza stains on her shirt,
Hmm.
who's like just an average person, and she's cool.
Hmm.
Do are little girls like, hell yeah, I want one of those for Christmas? And
Right.
in the movie, they're like, yeah, that'll sell like hotcakes. And I was like, I don't know about
No.
that.
Yeah, because like there's a reason the Ninja Turtles sell. It's like they're ninjas and they're turtles.
Yeah,
They're not like, well, I'm stay-at-home dad, you know.
right. Or like Accountant Larry. Like, there's no line of office worker drones
Right.
action figures that you can buy. We want to be He-Man and Ninja Turtles and play with Transformers or robots with freaking guns. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. So I don't. I think the bigger problem is that for whatever reason, when men play with toys, they're just toys.
Hmm.
They develop emotional attachments to them,
Hmm.
but it's not like I didn't live up to the standards of being a ninja, so I'm a failure.
Right. Well, there's the removal from reality. It's because all of boys' toys are exceptional,
Or
fantastical,
fantasy.
and like just things that aren't real. Like I'm never gonna be a transformer. It doesn't matter how much tailpipe I huff. Right.
What about
Like
He-Man? Is there a level of like I could get my physique to look like He-Man?
yeah, there's probably some wonky stuff around that. If
But
I
have you
had
ever met anyone who's like, I'm not built like He-Man and I'm 25, I'm a failure of a human being, you know?
I've definitely felt like looking at who was playing Ken, the main Ken,
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling. Like I've
Yeah.
definitely felt and looked at stuff being like, I'm never gonna look like that, right? Like
Yeah. Oh,
I've
100%.
I've listened to interviews with The Rock where he's like, yeah, so when I'm waking up on set and I'm due for a film at 7, I'm waking up at 4 and I'm going to the gym to do cardio, then I'm
Yeah.
having breakfast, and then I'm going back to the gym to do weights. And I'm like, nobody in the real world can do this. There's a reason why The Rock
No.
is The Rock, but it's not realistic for everyone. And so
No.
I think if everything was He-Man and He-Man physiques, I think you would see a lot of men with issues like that. Because
So if there
it's
was more He-Man, is what you're saying.
if there was more He-Man, because like
But I mean, we had action. Every action hero in the 80s was like that. Sylvester Stallone was ripped. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a god.
wow, I wasn't
We
alive in the
had,
'80s, so you'll have to excuse me, but
that's
not.
fine. We had we're just saying, we had an era where every movie, the biggest movies and
Yeah,
the culturally omnipresent action stars were
right.
giant men.
And you've definitely got um, a military hero worship, toxic masculinity culture around that today. Like there are definitely dudes out there who are like, I grew up watching action movies. Of course, I'm a dude with guns and pickups, and I'm a badass, and everyone's gonna respect me because of it.
Hmm.
I've definitely seen that. It's not as common here because we don't go in for the whole hero worship thing. We go in for the more um, silent respect, kind of for the veterans. We're not big on like huge parades and stuff like that in America. It's very different here around the military. Like we still respect our military, and you guys still respect your military, but you guys like hero worship them in a kind of way that we're a little uncomfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it's like buying too much into the toys in the movies is a thing that dudes do. Like, I've got to be jacked. I've got to like hit the gym all the time. And I'm like, big arms are where it's at. So I skip leg days, because they only show Sylvester Stallone from the waist up most of the time. He's a boxer. He's not a runner.
Right.
Like, I think it's there, and I think it happens. I think it's probably more relevant with like the comparison is more relevant to the girls' toys because there's way less variety. If I had to guess, like I'm
Could
not super familiar with girls' toys, but like there's Barbie and I know of Bratz, and that's also like a dress up doll kind of thing where they all have these fantastic hairdos and sparkly clothes and stuff, and it's like, this is what it means to be a woman. I'm like, is it though?
Yeah.
Like, what else is there?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that everyone's different. Like, everyone's got different things that they want to become and what things they can become.
Mm-hmm. Also
And
true.
like trying to put everyone in a box is dumb.
Of course. But I
Yeah.
mean, God, what was I watching? I was watching someone, and they were talking about how humans desperately try to put everything into categories and boxes, and
Yes.
it can't, because the world is more gray than that, and it's a failure of evolution that our brains are hardwired to do this.
Yep. It's a lot of it survival mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our caveman brains were like, okay, here is a food. Is it edible or not edible? Those are the
Right.
boxes. I
Yeah.
see another person. Are they an enemy or a friend? Those are the boxes. That's what we
Right.
do. We put things in boxes because it helped us survive, and it doesn't serve us as well anymore
Right.
today. Yeah, agreed. Yep. So anyway, yeah. So just the fact that the Barbie movie was examining deep cultural issues is just like, man. I mean, it's Greta Gerwig. The director is Greta Gerwig. She's
Mhm.
done 3 or 4 movies, and they've all been excellent. She's definitely a huge up and comer in Hollywood, and she has some pretty strong, personal flavor of feminist values that she puts into her films, and it's what she does. And she has her own messaging. Everybody does that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it bled into Barbie, and it makes sense.
I googled Greta Gerwig, and the Google logo turned pink, and then the page
Mhm.
started sparkling. I'm like, I think.
If you do America Ferrera, it does the same thing, and Margot
really?
Robbie. Yeah, it's all in on Barbie here. I
I
wonder
was
if it
looking
does.
at
Yeah, Oppenheimer does not have any fancy Google stuff. We know where
that.
Google has its money.
Uh-huh. I do feel a little. Yeah, anyone who's going from the Barbie movie, googling Margot Robbie, the next movie it has in its list is The Wolf of Wall Street,
Uh-huh.
which Margot Robbie has a very different character in that than
Yes,
this.
a
So
more naked character. It's true.
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bookmark that for later. And yeah. All right.
I mean, look, whatever. Margot's extremely hot. We've established this.
It's true.
Yeah. And then the final joke of the Barbie movie was an absolute stroke of brilliance that I don't know if I have been more impressed with the final line of a film ever in my entire life. It is
Really?
so good.
Okay.
It
I
is
mean, I thought
so
it was
good.
funny, but I thought it was answering a question that most people would have just like glossed over. You know?
Yeah, and that's why. It's like we've established that the Barbies do not have sex organs. They're aware of the fact they don't have sex organs and regular humans do, which is weird.
Yeah.
Right? So they go there, and then for the final thing of the movie, it's like, okay, so Barbie's turned human,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in a car with America Ferrera and her daughter, and they're like,
You
good
got
luck,
this.
Barbie, you got this. And I'm like, oh, it's like a job
Job interview.
interview.
Yeah,
Or
that's
like
what I
an
was
apartment
expecting as well.
interview or something.
Right. Something to like help her get her on her feet, to be like that
Yeah.
independent woman she wants to be.
Yeah. And so she goes into the building and she checks in with the receptionist.
Like how she gives her
And-
name.
Yeah.
Handler, comma Barbara.
That was super. Again, this movie is very funny. That
Yeah.
was great. It's like, and why are you here today, Barbara? And then she just. What's the exact line?
To see my gynecologist.
Yeah, to see my gynecologist. Just beaming, and then the movie ends. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Because,
It's good.
yeah, fair. She's magically been transformed into a human.
Mm-hmm.
There are things we need to check out and make sure
Yeah.
everything's cool. Like, this
Right.
makes sense. Maybe this is more important than getting a job. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. So funny.
Take care
It
of
was
yourselves,
great.
ladies. Learn from Barbie.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And, like, dudes, get your stuff checked out, too. Like, everyone's
Yep.
got things they need to worry about.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah. It's all true. Anyway, that was great. I thought Barbie was tons of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Man. Speaking of like getting your stuff checked out, my friends that I went to the movies with, we had lunch. We went out for dumplings beforehand. And he's a nurse and she's a doctor. And so we're just sitting there and she's like, you should go see your GP about your dandruff. I think you might have dermatitis. Blah, 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 blah. Here, I'll send you some pictures of some stuff. Ask for this medicine in particular, but you can buy this over the counter. Go do that. Like it really helped him.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, that's good. Yeah.
just
I mean, dudes are more resistant to medical help anyway. So
it's true. It's true.
yeah.
So
Like, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to get a colonoscopy or something because I'm 40 now and I do not want to do that.
you have to.
Colonoscopy age. See? But the thing is, I don't because I'm an adult man.
I mean,
45 to 75. Sweet. I've got some years left.
do you have any history of it in your family though of colon cancer?
No.
Okay, then you probably don't have.
45 is probably fine. Yeah.
Just keep pushing it off.
Yeah.
In 5 years' time, they'll move it to 50. You can be like, 50's cool.
Advances in science. They're like, we've eliminated colon cancer. And I'm like, yes. Best news. Like, just as a quick aside, I did see they like kind of cured HIV the other day.
Did they?
They brought like 96% of the cases that they're trying to cure are like totally working. So something happened. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. That is not the point of this conversation. So that was Barbie. Again, recommended by both Somicron and Falcon Paladin. 100%.
It's
very
great.
fun.
Highly recommend.
So funny. Yeah. And then I saw Oppenheimer yesterday. And the original plan was to see Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day, like back to back.
But then Oppenheimer was like a 3-hour movie by itself.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of time sitting in chairs.
That was. And then we figured there'd be massive emotional whiplash if we did that. And I think that was the correct call.
Well, yeah.
Because these movies could not be more different. They could not be more different. In every possible way. Like, Barbie's hilarious. Oppenheimer, not funny. Not a funny movie.
Not a lot of jokes.
like who jokes in 3 hours. So definitely not the same as Barbie.
Right. Yeah.
It is 100 billion% white dudes sitting in rooms talking about like important stuff. So it is the least representative movie I've seen in a very long time for that.
It's also a historical movie. Like
it is
set 80 years ago.
It is. It is 100%. Anyway, but yeah, and it is so directed at men, the way that it's written and the way that it's produced and the way that it's directed. And then the Barbie one is definitely more geared towards a female audience. Again, not to say that you're not going to like Oppenheimer if you're a woman and you're not going to like Barbie if you're a dude, because obviously I liked both of these things and I'm a dude. So
I came out of Barbie feeling like it wasn't directed at anyone. It was just made to be a good movie first. But I could definitely see how the perspective of women in the real world definitely resonates with women more. But I also kind of put that down to like, listen, you idiot men, take notes, learn from this. And so with that in mind, it could easily have also just been this is a movie aimed at men because men need to wake the fuck up in some cases.
Yeah, sure. But I do think the original goal is this is a movie for women to see women perspectives. And the secondary goal is any dudes that are coming, catch it.
The irony of two dudes discussing whether or not a movie was for them or not is not lost on me, chat.
Well, I can tell you I listened to a podcast about this with a dude and a woman, and the woman said, in Barbie, I was like, oh, this is how all the dudes I know feel when they go to most movies. They feel seen, and like the movie is made for them. And I'm like, good. I don't really vibe with it on the same way you guys do, but I vibed with Barbie. And I'm like, okay. Fair enough. I get that. That's cool. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So now we know. Again, this is not two dudes coming up with this. We do go to outside sources sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Oppenheimer's 3 hours. It has some amazing performances. It is, again, 98% people inside rooms talking to each other about science and politics.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're expecting, you're like Christopher Nolan is action films, right? Like there's shootouts and there's car chases. None of those things are in Oppenheimer.
No.
Not a
Okay.
snow. There is nothing you could even charitably call an action scene in this film.
Mm.
The explosion, the first successful test of the atomic bomb is the most action-ish thing that
Right.
happens in the film.
And that's just
Yeah,
by evident, like by sheer circumstance that it is an explosion, right?
correct. It
Yeah.
is an explosion, which is usually an accessory to an action scene and is the
Right.
whole thing here. Yeah. And so apparently uh Nolan created his own nuclear blast, right? He tried to approximate one for the
Mm-hmm.
movie, which is, I mean, obviously you can't explode your own nuke, and he didn't want to CGI it because he's Christopher Nolan,
Right.
and you can't just use the old footage of it because it's obviously from 1945, and it doesn't
Yeah.
fit in with the movie that you're making today. But
So,
I kind of wish he'd just done that.
so interestingly enough, Barbie ends with a montage of real footage shot probably in the 80s in someone's backyard of kids growing up.
Yeah,
And I thought that
yeah,
worked really well.
that's
Uh,
true.
I think I haven't seen Oppenheimer, but I would be surprised to find that cutting to real world test footage of a nuclear bomb should have an impact on people of look at this thing we've done.
Yeah,
Here is it really destroying. Where were the first tests? Like in
New
Nevada?
Mexico,
New Mexico, yeah.
like just kicking the crap out of the cactus and the sand and the lizards in this area.
Right. you know,
Yeah.
uh, I would be surprised to learn that that doesn't work, but I mean, it's Nolan. He's going to do Nolan things.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
Yeah.
mostly just a mushroom cloud, if I'm not correct, like for what the explosion does.
Yeah.
And
The
mushroom clouds are an effect of hot air cooling, bringing smoke up, um, not of nuclear reaction. So you can fake it without launching a nuke, basically. So,
correct. And
yeah,
that's what he did for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. A lot of it was good. Um you kind of saw it from the perspective of different people who were there to witness the test.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of got their reactions. It was cool because the visual happens, the flash of the white light, you can see the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're kind of absorbing what you're seeing, the shock hits you
Mm.
because they're like, 20,000, 30,000 feet back, which probably wasn't far enough back to save them from cancer,
Probably
but
not.
they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of marveling at the vision of it. And then, they got knocked on their asses by
Right.
just the sheer power of the force, which is neat. So,
I was watching a YouTube video. I think it was Hank Green, talking about nuclear tests that were done off like the coast somewhere, like in ocean waters,
Pacific
and
Island. Yeah.
yeah, and there was a scientist on board who was there to watch the demonstrations, who like immediately recognized that what they did was kind of fucked up in terms of like radiation and their proximity.
Yeah.
And like they thought, oh, we'll decontaminate all the ships that were on by having all the sailors just scrub it, you know?
Right.
That's how we
Right.
reset. And they were there for a week. And he eventually was able to get the like admirals or whoever was in charge to realize that they needed to evacuate the area when he caught a fish and put it on X-ray film, and it self X-rayed itself. It was so radioactive it cast its own X-ray,
Yeah.
which that's a lot of radiation for a person to have.
Yep. It's super dangerous, it turns out. And it's
Mm-hmm.
what sets apart nuclear weapons from most other type of explosive weapons is it blows the crap out of you and contaminates your land for a
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll keep what's in chat. There were dozens of families within 20 miles, largely poor families of ranchers and farmers, Hispanic and indigenous, who
Mm-hmm.
unwittingly went about their daily lives in the first fallout of the atomic age. The first, the second, the third, the fourth, they were consistently testing nuclear weapons in Nevada and in Oklahoma and in New Mexico. And if you happen to be downwind of these, you lived in a small town that was within the radius,
Mm-hmm.
you got cancer and your kids got cancer, and it's a huge problem. It totally sucks.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's,
bad times.
bad times.
Yeah. So I'm just going to finish with one thing about Oppenheimer. I appreciated that after the successful test of the nuke and
Mhm.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that Oppenheimer as a character starts to worry that as they progress with nuclear technology and start working on hydrogen bombs and stuff, that the US will use any weapons that are available to them.
Mm.
That we gave them the nuke and they used it. If we give them a hydrogen bomb, they're going to use that. And that
Mhm.
terrifies me
Mhm.
because now I know what this is. And then on the other side of the argument, there's a politician who's like, look, we need to pursue this mutually assured destruction policy
Mm.
where the only thing that will keep us safe is if we've got every big stick that the Russians have.
Right.
They won't go after us if they know we can hit them as hard as they can hit us.
Mhm.
And it's cool because I can see both sides of that argument. You're in 1942.
Mhm.
You've just seen the power of the nuke. For someone to come to Oppenheimer in 42 and say, after Nagasaki, no country will ever use a nuclear weapon against another one
Mm.
for the next 70 years, 80 years.
Mhm.
He wouldn't have believed you, right? That's
Right.
insane.
When
That
you were like looking just at like on a map of like a tactical map of the war at the time, it's like we dropped two of these things on two Japanese cities,
Yep.
and then they were out within a week, right?
Yeah.
Like they were effectively surrendered and were out of the war, and like the war kept going on in other places, so you couldn't have looked at that and said, well, that was clearly ineffective. You know,
Hmm.
there would have definitely been some people being like, where else can we get one of these?
Yeah.
And where else can we put it?
Yeah. And how can we win our wars with this?
Hmm.
Yeah. And the fact that did not happen and has not happened, like knock on wood here, but we got through the Cold War, like we got through the tense decades of pointing a gun at each other without that happening. And again, we got close.
Hmm.
We got close a few times. The dissolution of the USSR gave us some stories of, we've talked about this before, different submarine commanders or launch commanders who were given the order to launch nukes at America and they said no.
Oh, you're
And
right.
I'm sure that happened from the Americans' perspective too. I'm sure we screwed something up and
Hmm.
told one of our sub commanders to launch at the USSR and they were like, no.
Hmm.
So again, it was close a
Yeah,
bunch of times.
you guys nearly dropped a nuke on your like on North Dakota.
On, yeah, I think it was North Carolina, but yes,
Sorry,
you're right.
I get the northern states mixed up.
The Norths mixed up, correct.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bingo. There were so many close calls that we don't even know about, and the ones that
Hmm.
we were terrifying.
Hmm.
But yeah, from Oppenheimer to approach it from a perspective of this is terrible and bad, and we should stop researching and developing nuclear weapons because it's going to create the end of the world was very fair.
Hmm.
But the fact that he was wrong is crazy. It's crazy that he was wrong.
It, it's circumstantial that he was wrong. Like these things could still
Yeah.
very well be the end of the world.
Yes.
It's kind of like a wrong, but not for long. You know, uh,
Potentially. I mean,
potentially.
yeah, I don't know. I do feel like the Cold War had the biggest odds day to day
Hmm.
of nuclear holocaust starting. And I think with the
Sure.
dissolution of the USSR and the tensions between Russia and the US falling precipitously, and both countries choosing to disarm themselves to a massive extent, really, the
Hmm.
nuclear disarmament program has pretty much been a success. I mean, we still have enough nukes to like nuke the entire surface of the planet.
Right.
But it's, the fewer nukes there are, the fewer odds of an accidental launch or somebody going rogue. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I just
Sure.
say we've passed through a very dangerous time for
Hmm.
nuclear holocaust potential. Not to say we won't ever get back there again, because who knows what the future holds.
Yeah, I mean, it like the nuclear disarmament movement is one I wholeheartedly agree with. Like, we should probably have less of these things, in my opinion. But it's kind of like in reality, what's happened is more of a reaccounting of how many we need. It's like we looked at having. I've got a number here. In 1967, the U.S. had 31,255 warheads, which they had to do maintenance on. And then they kind of just realized we don't need to do maintenance on all of those. We only need 3,708, which is what your current count is.
Because
Which
being able to destroy the Earth 87 times is stupid.
stupid, right? I think the issue with destroying the world is you only have to do it once, and having
Yeah.
the ability to do it once is too many times. You know. So while I definitely applaud people's willingness to deconstruct their atomic weaponry, unless you get rid of enough to destroy the world, you're kind of not really done enough.
Which is crazy talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Ooh.
So that's another big part of the film is we have opened a box here. We have changed the nature of war. Never before have we conceived of the idea that we can wipe out the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
With our biggest bombs, we couldn't do that until this day, and now we can.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a fun little subplot in there where they've done the theoretical calculations of what happens when you explode an atomic bomb.
Mm.
And they're like, there's a
chance you can ignite the atmosphere.
Yeah. Ignite the atmosphere and everyone dies. And it's like, okay. It's like, but it's theoretical. Like, we don't know until we do it. And it's like, oh, neat.
Yeah.
And they say this a bunch in the film. They're like, it's near zero.
Right.
And then I was like, but the more times you do a thing, the less near zero the chances are. I'm not saying it becomes likely. I'm just saying you're rolling the dice. You're rolling 100-sided die.
Right.
The more times you roll it, the more likely it is you hit a 1, you know?
Well, no. If you roll 10 D100s, each one only has a 1 in 100 chance of hitting it.
I know, but the collective chance that you will roll a 1 eventually, the more rolls you have, it gets higher. It does. Aki, back me up.
You're probably right. I've never been particularly good at probabilities and statistics.
Yeah. So I'm just saying,
the way you phrased it made me sound like if you roll 1d100, if you don't get a 1, then it'll happen on a 1 or a 2 the next time you roll it. Like,
no,
that doesn't work like that.
They have independent odds individually.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
so I was just paying attention enough for math.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I understand that. I hate math. All right. But I was just like, okay, so the first time we detonated a nuke, it didn't ignite the atmosphere. But let's do it 1,000 more times in our testing and in nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the Russians will do 1,000 nuclear tests. Mm-hmm. And the develop of the hydrogen bomb is another 1,000 tests we're going to do. And it's like, are we that one of these might do the thing? Like we're really casual about this.
Do you know how many tests the US have done with nuclear weapons? I've got the number in front of me.
5,000.
No. 1,054.
Oh, I was right. I was right the first time with 1,000.
You're
nice.
Pretty close.
Okay, yeah. And then Russia's probably done their own 1,000, if not more, if not less, but somewhere around there.
Probably. I can probably.
And then we've got Pakistan and India and Israel and every other nuclear capable country that's run their own tests. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who is that now?
Who is what?
Nuclear capable countries. How many are there? The Wikipedia
Russia
says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wikipedia says that Russia's only done 715 tests.
Oh, there you go. Less. So United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and Israel. Mm-hmm. Pakistan would not have it except India does. I guarantee that's the truth. Because they hate each other with a fire of 1,000 suns.
Interestingly enough, Wikipedia also lists countries that did have nuclear weapons at some point.
Ukraine.
Yeah, Albania,
but only because
Algeria,
it was
Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Bulgaria.
Argentina disarmed. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of it is you are a USSR state, and they put nukes in your country, and then the USSR has evolved, and now you're a country with nukes. It's like,
right.
Not really. And that was Ukraine. Ukraine just had nukes that the USSR left over. And then they gave those up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So some of these countries might be listed here for different reasons. As I'm reading through, like South Korea. South Korea has the raw materials and equipment to produce nuclear weapons. However, has opted not to do so.
right.
Um,
And I'm sure that's true for a lot of countries, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's nuclear weapons that are stored in other countries. So United States nukes exist in Turkey, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium.
Hmm.
That's fun. We just have 20 nukes in Germany. Like, hang on to these for us. If we need them, we got them there. It's like, okay.
If we spot anything happening, we definitely won't detonate them from here.
Nope. Definitely won't destroy you, Germany. You're our best friend now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay,
Wild
so
stuff.
Aki says it's not that it has a chance of happening, but that the math said it might be possible to happen in theory.
Uh-huh.
The first test told us it's impossible. I don't know if I buy that. Okay, so the first test we practically tested out the theory, and it didn't ignite the atmosphere, and so the theoretical chances are no more. They don't exist anymore. I don't know if that's how it works.
So I think what she's saying is that we now know that it's so unlikely as to be impossible. It's not like a 1 on a D100. It's more like a 1 on a D10 billion trillion thousand, right? Like,
That's
and
not
that,
what she said. She said the first one told us it's impossible, not insanely unlikely.
well, insanely unlikely and impossible next to each other with the right perspective.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm Googling this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Apparently, the short answer is the level of heat required to ignite the atmosphere, current nuclear technology can't do it.
Right.
So somebody did the work to be like, okay, what is actually required here? And they said no. So someone's math back in 1939 was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know. Again, I'm not like staying up at night worrying about this. It's just,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
good. Glad we figured that out.
Yeah.
Okay. So we should wrap this up. But I will say one thing, which again is, I don't know if it's a spoiler for Oppenheimer,
Okay.
but I will tell you that Florence Pugh is wasted in this role. She is an insanely talented actor who is like a major bright point in anything I've ever seen her in. And for whatever reason, they cast her in this role in Oppenheimer. That's almost entirely thankless. She's given almost nothing to do. She's not interesting at all. And it's a waste. So there you go. That's my big complaint about this film.
I love how you will pick out a role and be like, "How dare you get someone so good for this role?" And then have them nothing to do. It's like, well, someone's going to be in that role. Like,
Yeah, and there are 20 other actors in Hollywood who could have done exactly what Florence Pugh did. Put her in roles where she kills it because of her specific skills.
What are her specific skills?
Being incredibly charismatic. And
that's actors by definition.
Nope.
Yeah.
Incredibly so. And like, I don't know. Florence Pugh just brings a level of movie starness to it. Like, that's a thing. Like, you wouldn't put like freaking George Clooney in a part like this. Be a waste of George Clooney. Or like Tom Hanks. We wouldn't put Tom Hanks in this tiny, thankless role in a movie at this point because it's Tom Hanks. You know what I mean?
I mean, kind of, but also cameos are a thing. Those are tiny, thankless roles that you, by definition, try to get someone who wouldn't normally be in that kind of a movie or that kind of role. You know, because you think of what a cameo is. A cameo is essentially just like the minorest of side characters or supporting cast, right? That is like by definition what a cameo is. But like Brad Pitt makes a cameo in Deadpool, but you wouldn't go, well, let's give Brad Pitt a role where no one can see him for the entire movie.
It's a good point. It is a good point. Okay, if we call it a cameo, it actually feels kind of better.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, if you cameo a very well known, very talented, very famous actor in a role, you want to give them a chance to do the thing they do, even just on a little bit. No?
No, I don't think so. Because,
Like,
like,
is there a role where Tom Hanks is cameoing and he's like an ice cream man at Baskin Robbins? You go in, you say, "I like this," and he goes, "Here you go," bam, and that's it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
he's never given a chance to be charming or
yeah.
funny or anything.
I can definitely see that because
Okay.
Barbie has a John Cena cameo where he's just a mermaid, right?
Which
And it's
is
like
amazing.
it's hilarious. Don't get me
And it lets
wrong,
him be hilarious.
right? But that's John Cena's skill set. I think you can definitely work with other people's skill sets. Like I don't look at the Marvel movies and be like, well, I didn't let Stanley write a comic, you know. But he's got cameos in
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, that's true. But he's not a great actor. I don't know.
But there's also times where they're like, he's a cleaner,
Yeah.
or you know,
I mean, his whole point
he's
is
not a
to
great
be
cleaner.
funny, right? Tony Stank, and haven't you kids ever seen Spaceship before? And
Hmm.
like, it's always a funny cameo. So they let him
Yeah.
do something. I don't know. I'll have to think about this more, I guess.
Uh, I should just Google for Tom Hanks cameos. He's got to
Yeah,
be in something, right?
probably.
Apparently, Tom Hanks had a cameo in 1883.
Okay,
That is.
that TV
It's,
show.
I think so. It's a
Yeah.
spin-off prequel to the Yellowstone show. Another
Yep.
show I've never
It's a
heard
TV
of.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Apparently, he's got a cameo in that where he
Okay,
plays General George Meade.
okay. But here's the thing: we need to see them to see if they let Tom Hanks do stuff, or if he just like
Well, I mean, it's about the
stands there
Civil War,
woodenly.
so I
Yeah.
don't think he's like making jokes.
Oh, but you can be charismatic and charming and fun in a situation like that. Like Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
a funny movie, but
Joe.
he's allowed to be Tom Hanks. He's allowed to carry scenes. He's allowed to be
I mean,
important in some way. It's not
not a.
his movie.
I mean, it's also not a cameo role. It's
That's true.
he's a main supporting cast. Like,
It's almost like
main
an
cast.
ensemble cast though, right?
Yeah, for probably that's probably a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, so you Google for Tom Hanks cameo, and Google has like a dropout list for you. Just like here you go. Here's a bunch of Tom Hanks cameos. Did you know he had a cameo in Toy Story as Woody? Yeah.
No. What are you talking about? That's the most insane thing you've ever said.
Yes, that is the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Whatever, it's
Uh,
fine. Maybe this is just a me thing, but yeah.
mhm,
That's just my final note. It's a personal complaint that I have.
mhm, mhm. Elvis has left the building. He had a cameo in that. Tom Hanks has a cameo in the Simpsons movie. Do you remember Tom Hanks in the Simpsons movie?
No, but I only remember Spider Pig and the dome in the Simpsons movie.
That's
Those are the
fair.
two things I remember.
He plays himself, apparently. So
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people cameo as themselves in the Simpsons. Like a
it's true.
lot.
Like Green Day. Yeah.
Yeah. Lady Gaga. Weird
Uh-huh.
Al Yankovic.
Mhm.
Anyway, cool,
A
cool.
cameo in Borat? What the hell?
Tom Hanks?
Yeah, in Borat's subsequent movie film, excuse me.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
sequel.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I'm surprised that he has a cameo in there.
Mhm.
Cool. Super cool.
Yep.
All right, let's wrap
All right.
this up.
Yeah.
Maybe next week you'll have seen Oppenheimer. We can talk about it a little bit more.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe. No promises.
I never make any promises ever.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour, the infrequent summer edition. Again, you can catch us live on twitch.tv/Somicron every Monday evening in the US, or like, I don't know, early afternoon, early like noon time in Australia ish. The VODs are at youtube.com/@Somicron if you want to catch up. You don't have to watch it live. And yeah, you can also support the podcast at patreon.com/Somicron, as well as falconpaladin.store. Merch does support the podcast directly. And until next time, as always, thanks for hanging out, and you take care of yourself.